So would they lie about all sorts of things? And would they lie about the shape of the world? Of course they would. And that's, by the way, that's one of the things that sold me on this. It's like, would I lie if I found out in 1960, if I was the government or whatever group you want to call them, the Illuminati or whoever it is, would I lie about this? Yeah, you bet I would. The public wasn't even remotely ready in 1960. Are they more ready now? Yeah, kind of. I mean, we've given them enough hints. It made so much sense to me because this world is based on greed and money and power. And yet, in fact, if you want to start fracking in my backyard next week, you could make that happen if you're an oil and gas company. But those same companies aren't even allowed to talk about Antarctica. When have you ever seen that? Ever. But why does British Petroleum not go down to Antarctica? They can't.
So the way you described it, then it's kind of like the limits of the boundaries of a video game.
Yeah.
So do you believe that we're in some kind of simulation?
Yep. Yeah, I do.
And
But most of the time,
what is your definition of a simulation?
my definition of simulation, well, I was in the video game industry for years. I mean, I used to play video games for a living. I was a video game producer, and they're all striving to be the same thing, which is a virtual reality that the player cannot break out of. Once you are immersed in it, there's no way to get out because you weren't the access to it, your memory of it was blocked. So, and by the way, when I got into this whole flat Earth model, I'd love to talk about simulations, but most people don't get it. Meaning, look, it's been 20 years since the Matrix, and people still don't understand the concept of the Matrix. But all the entertainment companies are trying to build in some sort of virtual reality. We've seen it in like Ready Player One and Free Guy and stuff like that. But it's almost impossible to do because you can't hook up the other senses. But we can build visually amazing worlds right now. I mean, you've seen them out there. The latest GTA, which I don't play because of the whole crime aspect, is a beautiful game. And we can do some wonderful, wonderful stuff. And yes, if it is flat and it is enclosed, it's probably virtual. No question. The double slit experiment is a big tell of that.
I don't think people in general have much of a problem with simulation theory. I think Elon Musk said it. It's quite mainstream, isn't it? This idea that it's actually very, very likely we live in a simulation. I think what people find hard is this flat world idea, because so many people in our simulation, if we are in a simulation, would have to be lying for that to be true.
Well, or NPCs, which is the concept behind Free Guy. But yeah, and by the way, a lot of people, again, what you just said, it's a paradox. Lots of people can understand now the virtual realities, but what people forget is video games are based on completely flat models, meaning there are no curves in video games. You just don't know any better because, it's like, you can't see the curve. And it's also it's not even a snow globe. It's boxed off. The skybox system is what they do with the ceiling. Like, everything has right angles because computers can't understand circles. They hate them. They only deal with right angles. That's why pixels are perfectly square. So it's this weird paradox, in video games. Like, for example, we have to put in the distance. We have to put in haze in the distance, fake atmosphere, so you can't see too far, which also ties into what we're dealing with our real world. Well, our real world, which is you can't see too far because the atmosphere thickness. Lots of people will say, and I'm ignoring the chat, which is, why can't you see Japan from California? Why can't you see Europe from New York? And why can't you see Mount Everest from everywhere? Well, it's because you're not breathing in nothing. What we're breathing in right here is a gas. It's a couple gases. It's mostly nitrogen, a little bit of oxygen, and some trace gases. And that gets thickness, gains thickness over time. No different than water. Why, when you dive, if you've ever dived with anybody, at 200 feet down, you can't see the sun, even on a bright summer day. Same thing with the atmosphere.
So in the chat, they're asking about your religious beliefs, which ties into my next question, which is, if we are in a simulation, who designed it? And what is the purpose of it? I mean, what are we?
Okay. No, it's a good one. And I'm glad you guys got to that, which is who built it and why? It's probably the most important question. Most people get around the flat part, which is it can only be one of two answers. One is an older and more powerful civilization than ourselves, obviously, kind of like the movie Contact, or the divine. And at that point, you're kind of splitting hairs because one man's advanced tech is another man's deity. So do I think God is a programmer? Yeah, I do. Absolutely. We didn't invent programming. And some of the design features of this place are amazing. Do I believe in God? Yes, I do. Was I raised in a born again evangelical Christian home? Yeah, I was, but I fell away from that when I got into tech for obvious reasons, and then got pulled kind of back, not back into the church, but back into spirituality when I got into this. Because if it was built, if it was created like this, then it was created by someone. And this just screams intelligent design. And science doesn't want to go there, which, it's the opposite of what science says. Science says you're on a little tiny spinning ball covered in a little bit of water and smoke flying through an impossible universe, and you're just left over from the Big Bang. And we say, no, it's probably the easier option, which is this. And it's 99.99% of the people believe the illusion, like the Matrix or the Truman Show or one of those things. And that's what you go with. I mean, and by the way, who's to say there is space? Why can't it just be this sitting on somebody's desk? Who's to say there aren't 7 billion little tiny things living in that thing right now? And one more thing, the planetarium argument, which is when you go into a planetarium, and I know that kind of dates me, you are looking at a projection on a screen. All this, does the moon look spherical? Yes. Can you land on it? No. Why not? Because it's just an image on the ceiling. And if you brought somebody in from, I don't know, an old school Amish community that's never seen tech in their life, that would just blow their minds, right? It's like, holy smokes. What is wrong with it? Why does the sky look like this? It's like, no, it's an illusion.
Mark, here's my issue with this. It feels like there are two separate theories. One is simulation theory and one is flat Earth theory. Sure. And a lot of your arguments point to simulation theory, which I think a lot of people are right behind, that it could be real, that we could be just something on someone's desk. I think a lot of people do agree with that. But flat Earth theory seems to suggest, just by its name, that we're not in a simulation, which a lot of people think as well. Okay, we're not, but the Earth is flat. Right. And a lot of your, for example, the Van Allen belt trap, right? And you said this scientist just ran away. Well, I looked up literally for about 30 seconds before coming on here. I said, what's the Van Allen belt trap? I don't know what that is. It's a bit of radiation that if you go through, it can be dangerous, right? But there are huge gaps that you can go through that aren't as strong radiation. There are parts of it. And that took me 10 seconds. Now, who do we believe? You're right. I'm just believing that information, right? I understand that that's what you're probably thinking. But at the end of the day, as human beings, I suppose on the one hand, we have to be vigilant against, government could be lying to us and that kind of thing. But on the other hand, surely we go with the scientists of today. I mean, how sure are you, Mark, out of 100, how sure are you of flat Earth theory?
Oh, 99.999%. I used to be only like 95% when I started this thing. But the reinforcement I got from the subject matter experts, which I interviewed on my channel, and they came to me unsolicited, they all said the same thing. And
but it's dangerous. 99.999% about anything is very dangerous, isn't it? That's, Dunning-Kruger levels. That's like, being the more sure you are suggests you want to believe it.
No. Come on, 0.0001%. Of course, anyone can be wrong on just about anything.
I mean, it's too sure. I mean, you're too.
Oh no! I don't think it's dangerous. I absolutely believe this. Believe this. No question. And by the way, when it comes to, I know when you said that people, the blurring of the lines, the only problem we have nowadays is virtual reality, because we've done it in pop culture for a number of years now, has become a very accepted thing because we've been beating people over the heads with it since the late 90s, right? Well, flat Earth predates that by a long, long way. Just because we're now talking about it in different terms doesn't make it any less, valid. It just means that we now have different terms to describe it. And so, yes, I absolutely love to say, if it's virtual, it probably looks like this, because in our virtual worlds, the ones we create, this is what we build. Literally this, only it's squared off at the edges. It's no different.
So if we're in a simulation,
yes,
and the Matrix gave us a heads up on that, is Keanu Reeves in on it? And why is the designer a bit like, a serial killer who's not been caught and wants to throw a clue out there to try and reveal what the truth is?
I believe there's something else again, I don't know how much time we have. I believe there's another layer to this, which is, let's get to the why real fast, because a lot of people will ask, okay, what's outside of this? If this is where we live, then what's outside of this? What are they doing? Is the person, is the creator lurking about? Is it a big joke? or is it more of a novelty thing? Meaning, I believe that if this world is 99.9% conflict, which it is, it doesn't matter how beautiful, how powerful, how talented, how rich you are, you always have something to complain about. Always. No one's ever completely satisfied. Even monks sitting on a Tibetan mountaintop still have to deal with mortality. You can't escape it. If that's the case, then what is outside of here is an unlimited universe. And I think it is cyclical. I think the universe runs off of novelty. And which is why we always ask constantly, hey, what's new? What's new? What's new? I mean, how many people are going crazy because they're running out of things to watch on Netflix, for example? I'm watching stuff I wouldn't have touched 5 years ago.
Toss a coin to The Witcher. Are you watching The Witcher?
I've watched. Oh, please, I blew past that. I'm watching. I'm watching even stuff. It's like, okay, you watch The Witcher. Here's 5 other recommended shows. Well, okay, fine. I'll just watch those. But I do believe that what's outside of it is unlimited. Now, if you want to call it heaven or nirvana or Shambhala or whatever it is, fine. But I think that eventually what happens is you run out of novelty and you have to refresh. You have to gain perspective. So you come to a place like this. And it's limited lifespan, all sorts of different sufferings, line from the Matrix. Human beings seem to define the reality through misery and suffering, which is true. And then you go back.
Yeah. I just think, like I said, I think if it's simulation theory, then it doesn't look like anything. It's just a computer. It doesn't look like a
well,
thing.
Don't be so sure, because remember, even when we build stuff, it doesn't matter how good a computer you are or how big the computer system is, you have to define the borders. You have to define the boundaries. Now, yes, you're right in the way that the whole wave particle thing. Whereas if you're in a computer simulation, if a tree falls in the forest and you aren't there to see it, does it still make a sound? Well, now we know with computer simulations, no, because it hasn't been rendered yet. There is no tree. It's just over there in blank code. It hasn't been drawn. There is no freaking tree.
Yeah.
But
it's a nice thought.
But does it exist as a border? Yes. GTA exists as a world. It has boundaries. Fortnite has boundaries. Everything has boundaries. Eventually, you have to build the boundaries in.
A viewer hang tight, wants to know if aliens are real. And earlier on, you mentioned about ancient civilizations.
Yes.
Do you think that there was a fusion of alien DNA with the ancient civilizations? If you do believe aliens are real?
Oh boy, I'll see if I can abbreviate this one. Do I believe that aliens are real? Yes, but I don't think do I think they're from Mars and Jupiter? No, I do not. British guy told me years and years ago, he goes, you want to see some weird stuff? Grab some night vision binoculars, start looking up at the sky. I did, way before flat Earth. And it's like the sky is crawling with stuff. Do I think they are from Mars and Jupiter and Venus? No, I do not. I think they're just older versions of us. We are not the first people. You guys know this. We're not the first people to rent this apartment, not by a long shot. I mean, the Bosnian pyramids, the real pyramids, Puma Punku, the sunken cities off Japan and India. There's all sorts of remnants of previous civilizations. Our civilization only goes back unbroken, maybe 5,000 years. And there's stuff that's way, way older than that. So, but whoever's flying around up there, I think there's rules. If you want to look up some really cool stuff to your person over there that was asking about that, the greatest UFO sighting in history, our history, wasn't Roswell or 1899 Aurora, Texas, or any of that crap. It was 1561 Germany. Look up the 1561 Nuremberg event. It is brilliant. On a beautiful, clear day, 2 huge armadas come over the city and just start hammering at each other for a full hour. Not a cloud in the sky. And then a third faction comes in and scatters them. Big, giant black ship. They even talked about ancient aliens. They left out the black ship. And it's the coolest thing ever. And there weren't any photographs, but they drew the whole thing. They had a full hour to draw it. So there was wood carvings. They're like, oh, this is great. Eating their toast and Schnitzelgluben for breakfast, watching the whole thing. It's awesome. Yeah. So do I think they're here? Yes. Do I think they get to interact with us on a regular basis? No. Call it the Prime Directive out of Star Trek, which is you can't just land in the middle of Paris and start signing autographs and taking selfies. It would screw everything up. I think there's rules. I think there's protocols in place.
Andrew?
Yeah. I don't know. It's that thing, isn't it, with the conspiracy theorists? It's like you have to to believe one, you have to often believe a whole network of them. So it's also there's UFOs and there's this and there's that. Well, and like I said, it's that certainty. But you did say I didn't know this about you, but that you grew up in a very devout religious family, and surely it's possible, and I know it must be frustrating for you to hear this, I understand that, but it must be possible that you might be replacing those urges with other, desires to look for the extraterrestrial or the extreme.
No. I'm not offended. You can say anything you want to me. I've had way worse since me from the last 6 years, which is for me. I love the idea of an objective truth, but we live in a world, as you guys know from your stuff. We live in a world of layers and layers and layers of deceptions. People lie about stuff all the damn time, and with organizations. I mean, come on. We know there's conspiracies, where 3 or more people conspire to do stuff in let's see, business and politics and sports and entertainment, and even journalism and science. It happens all the time. So once you can get your head around that, I grew up, again, very, very sheltered. So when I saw JFK in the theater for the first time in the early 90s, I was like blown away. I was like, wait, people in authority lie about stuff? I had no idea. And so now, I've looked into enough things. It's like, people will lie to protect their interests. So would they lie about all sorts of things? And would they lie about the shape of the world? Of course they would. And that's, by the way, that's one of the things that sold me on this. It's like, would I lie if I found out in 1960, if I was the government or whatever group you want to call them, the Illuminati or whoever it is, would I lie about this? Yeah, you bet I would. But the public wasn't even remotely ready in 1960. Are they more ready now? Yeah, kind of. I mean, we've given them enough hints, but 1960, no. So I agree. My qualification for a conspiracy is: would I improve on it, and would I say that the ends justified the means, no matter what the means were? And if I agree with it, that's it. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Totally would do it.
We only have time for one more question. It's come from Hugh Janus.
Yeah.
Do you believe, Mark, in time travel?
Whew. That's a tough one, because I love time travel. I love the concept of time travel. I fantasize about time travel. Any time travel movie that comes out, I will watch it. But do I think it's happened here with the whole Mandela effect thing? Maybe, because time travel is tricky. Any other movie will tell you, if you're talking about fragmenting parallel lines, or if you're talking about a singularity where it just keeps changing, the same timeline. I don't know. I don't believe we have the ability now, even though Nazi Germany was kind of toying with the idea towards the end of the war. That was the myth. But I don't think, if we are doing it, well, let's put it this way: if we pulled it off, you're never going to know, because either it goes off into a completely separate timeline which isn't tied to you, or it happens and changes your life in a way you're not going to know in the first place.
Do you think something like Doctor Who's TARDIS would be practical?
Oh, I love Doctor Who's TARDIS. I love that show. And no offense to Jodie Whittaker, she should have never ever been cast for the last couple seasons. It wasn't her fault, because it was the writing. Honestly, I would have chosen Tom Ellis. Is that right? The guy that played Lucifer.
It was Tom Baker, wasn't there? Wasn't he one of them?
I don't know.
Tom Ellis. You might want to look at. He played Lucifer in the United States series Lucifer, about the devil helping Los Angeles Police Department, which is so weird. But no, I love the TARDIS. I love the concept, and I love the idea. If anyone sees the TARDIS flying around, please let me know. I'd love to. I'd love to talk to him.
Who asked that question, Sean? Mr. Janus.
I asked about time travel. I threw in about the TARDIS.
Oh, you threw in the TARDIS?
So
I was in love with it ever since Christopher Eccleston broke into the new series. I remember watching that on BBC America. I was going, wow. I never watched any of the early ones, and just fell in love with it.
Mark, we've run out of time. A huge thank you for coming on and being such a good sport with all these questions.
Oh yeah.
Could you please tell the viewers where they can find you and follow you and
It's easy, because I hate social media. So just type in Flat Earth Mark into YouTube. That's how you find me. My channel's on there. It's just my name, Mark Sargent. And there's a YouTube documentary, a Netflix documentary called Behind the Curve, which it's a fair look at what we did a couple of years ago, and a couple of books on Amazon, and you'll find me. It's not hard. I mean, all my information's out there. It's how you guys get a hold of me.
Cool.
All
Thanks,
right,
Mark.
you have a good rest of your evening in Washington, I think you said, and
I will
blast out some Nirvana.
Thanks.
Watch some Frasier.
Oh, some Frasier. Kelsey, by the way, Kelsey's one of ours. I talked to him a couple of years ago.
Build a TARDIS.
He's a flat earther.
Yeah.
Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, he's an alcoholic, wasn't he?
What's that got to do with it?
A lot.
Hey, no. Oh, by the way, and I sent this to you. Last thing, Novak's one of ours.
Again, not surprised.
All right.
No, I'm just
Mark.
kidding, Mark. Have a good one.
Cheerio.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.